The courtroom buzzed with whispers, cameras flashing like fireworks outside the doors. Reporters and spectators crowded the benches, waiting to witness what the press had already branded the divorce trial of the decade. At exactly 9 a.m., Richard Langley walked in. The billionaire, Silicon Valley's golden son, wore a flawless navy suit. His hair was styled to perfection, his lawyers followed in a line like soldiers, and at his side was Issa Monroe, his much younger mistress in a striking red dress. She clutched a designer handbag, smiling as if she already owned the world. Richard smirked, scanning the room like he was the star of a performance staged just for him. He looked untouchable. Then Camille entered, alone. No entourage, no press. Agents, no dramatic flair, just a navy dress, pearl earrings, and a small black folder clutched in her hands. She didn't look at Richard. She didn't need to. Richard leaned back in his seat, whispering something to Issa that made her laugh softly. He looked across the aisle, waiting for Camille to break, to show fear, to shiver under the weight of public humiliation. But Camille sat straight, eyes calm, her folder resting on the bench beside her. There was no rage, no panic, just quiet certainty. The air shifted in courtroom 7C. Some spectators noticed it too, a subtle change, like a storm building behind still skies. Richard believed money and charm could bend the narrative his way. But Camille knew something he didn't. When the envelope on the judge's desk was opened, it wouldn't be her who crumbled. Years earlier, their story had looked like a fairy tale. Richard, the ambitious tech genius, and Camille, the art history student who softened his edges. They married young, built a family, and became the picture-perfect couple on magazine covers. But after the IPO of Langtech, Richard changed. Success turned him into someone Camille no longer recognized. The man who once told her she was the compass to his chaos began vanishing into boardrooms, exotic retreats, and Instagram-worthy galas, always with Issa Monroe somewhere near. Camille noticed the lipstick in his car, the late-night calls, the hotel charges. She said nothing. She paid attention. And when Issa became pregnant, Richard bragged that at last he would have a child who looked like him. Then came the final betrayal. Richard filed for divorce and demanded paternity tests for their 2 children, Owen and Bella, accusing Camille of infidelity. Camille didn't lash out. She didn't beg. Instead, she quietly prepared. She hired a discreet genetic lab in Seattle. She gathered financial records, traced hidden accounts, and sealed everything in 2 envelopes. One would prove the truth. Richard wanted to erase that Owen and Bella were his children. The other carried a secret Issa and Richard had never expected. Camille understood something Richard never did. Real power wasn't in shouting louder. It was in waiting for the right moment to let the truth speak. The judge opened the first envelope. Richard's request for paternity tests. The courtroom fell silent. Reporters leaned forward. Richard sat tall. Issa smirked. The judge read aloud. Owen Langley, 99.99% probability of paternity. Bella Langley, 99.99% probability of paternity. Camille's children were his. Richard froze. Issa's smile flickered. The courtroom buzzed with whispers. Richard had tried to erase his children, and in one sentence the judge erased his accusation. Then came the second envelope, the one Camille had submitted. The judge's voice was steady, but the weight of his words thundered through the room. Subject: fetus attributed to Ms. Issa Monroe. 0.00% probability of paternity attributed to Mr. Richard Langley. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Issa's face went pale, her hands trembled. She turned toward Richard, but he pulled his arm away as though she carried poison. The billionaire who had strutted into the courtroom with a mistress on his arm now sat exposed, his empire unraveling in real time. The judge ruled in Camille's favor. Full custody, financial sanctions, Richard's false accusations forwarded to authorities. Camille stood, gathered her black folder, and walked out. She didn't look at Richard. She didn't gloat. Her silence was louder than his smirk had ever been. Outside, a reporter called out, "Do you regret anything?" Camille paused, turned slightly, and said softly, "Yes, waiting this long to speak up." That clip went viral, shared by women across the world. She hadn't shouted. She hadn't begged. She had simply let the truth speak at the right time. Issa vanished, her Instagram silent, her name reduced to a forgotten headline. Richard's empire crumbled. Investors withdrew, his company stock crashed, and he was forced to resign. Meanwhile, Camille began again. She sold their sprawling estate, donated part of the money to single mothers, and reopened her art gallery under her maiden name. Her first exhibit, unclaimed, The Cost of Being Invisible, sold out before opening night. She had not just survived, she had redefined the battlefield. Richard had wanted to erase his children. Instead, he erased his legacy. Camille never shouted. She never staged a spectacle. She simply handed the right person the right envelope at the right time. Sometimes power doesn't look like revenge. Sometimes it looks like quiet truth, spoken when it matters most. And in doing so, Camille protected not just her children's names, but their future.